I'm an addict, and my name is Damarian. And give me a moment of silence, please, real quick. Once again, I'm an addict, and my name is Damarian. And first and foremost, man, I really want to thank God for everything, man. And I don't use that term loosely. When I say I want to thank God for everything, man, I really want to thank God for everything, man, for the ups, for the downs, for the highs, for the lows, for the good times, for the bad times. Because it's not always easy to say that when you're going through something, man. But it's been my experience, man, that even when things are looking at their darkest, man, even when it looks like things are just like not right and things are just fucked up, man, and I have no way out, man, I find a way out, man, and God provides a way, man, and I end up learning something from that situation, man. I want to thank Vendale for asking me to come out, man, and share my experience, strength, and hope with you guys, man. And I want to thank God, man, for putting it on His heart, man, to ask me, because if it's one thing that I'm real clear on, man, when I'm up here, man, and I'm carrying the message, man, I'm doing God's work, man, and that's what I'm out, and that's what I set out to do today, man, to do God's work, man. I want to let you guys know, man, that young people do recover, man. I'm 23 years old, man, and I have 17 and a half months clean, man, and whenever I'm asked to come out and share, man, I always state that, man, and I always start with that, like, cause that was real important for me, man, to realize, man, that an addict, any addict, can stop using drugs, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live, man. Cause like, I just didn't know, man. I can remember like being 14 years old and knowing I was an addict, but my drug of choice is weed, man. And I can remember like separating myself and thinking that I would never be able to get clean. I can remember, so many stories like I hear in the rooms thinking that I was going to die getting loaded, man, because like, I just could not see myself. I could not see my life. I could not see living my life without a particular substance to help me cope with life. I could not envision it, man. And you know, like my perception at the time was like the only people that was trying to get clean were crackheads and heroin addicts. And even when they got what they call clean, they still smoke weed. But from a very early age, I knew that marijuana was causing all types of problems in my life. From a very early age, man, I'm talking about being 15 and being homeless. I'm talking about being 15 and sleeping in the homie's closet because I'm not supposed to be spending the night that night. And if his parents find me, they're going to put me out. I'm talking about being 15 years old, man, and sleeping in and out of abandoned cars. I'm talking about being 15 years old and breaking into cars just to sleep in. Not even trying to steal it, not even trying to come up, just to have somewhere to sleep that night because it's so cold. I'm talking about being on the corner of Figueroa and Century at that Tams right there, man, and staying up all fucking night, sitting up like half-ass sleep, man, because I have no fucking where else to go. I'm talking about the inability to accept responsibility for my actions, constantly and consistently creating situations and problems and instances in my life where I set myself up to fuck myself up. Man, you know, my mother is an addict, man. I'm the son of an addict, who is the daughter of a normie. And it's because of that I believe it's a large part of why I knew that there was something wrong way back then. Cause look, man, I wasn't the addict, man, that like needed to be pushing a basket on Skid Row, to know that he was an addict. I wasn't the addict that needed to lose everything financially to know that he was an addict. I knew based on the way the way other people lived their lives, the way other people like got up and went to work, and other kids got up and went to school, and other kids like went the course of their day without using anything, without fiending, without having that desire to use. I knew there was something wrong with that from a very early age, man. Thank God for the program of Narcotics Anonymous, man. Thank God I have somewhere to come. Thank God I have people. I can look around all this room and I see people that love me, man. I see people that care about me. I see people that have my best interests at heart, man. Thank God for that, man. You know, like the literature talks about in the self-acceptance side piece, self-rejection. And that's the story of my life, man. Self-rejection, never being able to accept myself, always looking for acceptance from other people, other places, and other things, man. I can remember being real young, man. I can remember being real young, man, and committing in some homosexual activities, not for no drugs. I don't even think I had started using that. I don't even think I had started using yet. I can remember committing in homosexual activities just because that's what everybody else was doing, and I needed acceptance, and I didn't think you guys would accept me if I wasn't doing what y'all was doing. I can remember being haunted with that, man. I can remember being haunted with that for a long time. I can remember questioning my manhood. I can remember questioning my sexuality, man. I remember these things, man, and these things caused me so much pain, man. And one day, man, I was about 9 years old, man, and my aunt was like, here, drink some of this, man. And you know, like I knew it was alcohol, but I didn't really know what that pertained to. So I followed direction and I drank that. And I'm gonna be real honest with you guys, man. In the beginning, man, with the whole thing with alcohol, I didn't feel it. Like I felt nothing at all. But at the same time, that's what she was doing. And my aunt like lived in my household, and I was trying to hang out with her friends and all that because I was always trying to be just a little bit more grown. You know, my aunt is like about 10 years older than me, and she allowed me to hang out with her, and she allowed me to kick it with her and her friends. So that's what I set out to do, man. And they was drinking, so that's what I did. I drank. Regardless, I didn't even know why they drank, but I did it, man. And at 11 years old, man, this same aunt, man, she introduced me to weed, man. And you know, I hear stories about how people say that they didn't get high the first time that they smoked weed and shit like that. That's not my story. The first time I smoked weed, I got high and I loved it, man. I mean, it was the cat's meow, man. I just knew that was what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. I knew that was the solution to all my problems. I knew that whatever was going on, all I need to do was smoke that blunt, man, and everything would be good, man. And I just had no clue. I had no clue the course that my life was about to take when I took that first one, man. Absolutely no clue. So the cycle began, man. The cycle of being an addict, man. The getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. And let me tell you, man, my desire to use at one point was so strong, man. I remember my aunt, man, she would break down the weed or whatever and have her little seeds sitting up or whatever. And I remember I couldn't get a hold of no weed, so I said, fuck it, I'll smoke the seeds. And you know, like, I mean, cause I just needed something, man. I just needed something, man. I just needed to get high, man. I don't know why. I didn't know what it was. I knew I just needed that one more, man. I just needed that one more that everybody talks about, man. And let me say this, man. I want to thank God, man, for a third tradition, man, that states that the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using, man. Thank God that I am a member when I say I am. But I'm gonna take it one step further, man. I'm not just a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I say I am. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous by my actions, man. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I give people my phone number. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I reach out. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I have service commitments. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I have a sponsor who has a sponsor who has a sponsor who still attends meetings. I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous, man, because I get involved, because I stay connected. Man, I'm a member of Narcotics Anonymous because I work these steps and I try to practice these principles in all my affairs, man. If you're not there yet, man, that's okay, man. Keep coming back. You know, the literature talks about how relapse can lay the groundwork for a more rigorous application of this program, man. And I want to let you guys know, man, that I first got here when I was 20 years old, man. And you know, it was a popularity contest. It was a popularity contest, and I needed to see who was in the meeting. I needed to see which one of her I could get with. I needed to see how fast I was going to take my chips. I needed to measure you. It was a popularity contest, bottom line, man. I didn't really take it seriously, man. I didn't know that this program was designed and intended to save lives, man. I didn't even know that I wanted to save my own life. All I knew, man, is that I smoked way too much weed, and these people was talking about they don't use no substance, and my perception was that I was just going to be balling out of control once I found a way to stop using, or at least be able to control my using. So I stuck around for a little while, man. I stuck around for about 90 days, man, and then I went out, and then I stuck around for about 30 days and then I went out, and I stuck around for about 2 days, and then I went out, and it was a back and forth cycle. And let me say this real quick, man. If there's anybody in here that's taking bogus shits, man, it's okay, man. Keep coming back, man. Don't condemn yourself. Don't get on yourself. Don't allow that self-pity, man, that the insidiousness of this disease that will plant in our heads to bring you down and make you feel less than and make you feel that you're not accepted and that you're not wanted, and that if you let somebody know that you've been taking a bogus chip or a bogus cake, that we just gonna reject you and turn you away and say, how the fuck could you do that? Because I know I'm not, because how could I? I've done that. I did that. I took all kind of bogus chips consistently because I thought the insidiousness of my disease told me, you can't let these motherfuckers know you got loaded. You can't tell them none of that. How are they going to look at you? How are they going to feel about you? And I just didn't understand at the time, man. I didn't understand, man. I didn't understand that like my recovery is not about you until I make it about you. Like my recovery is about me. Like my recovery is about saving my life. It don't matter what you think of me. I drink a lot of water when I'm actually carrying the message, man, because I don't know, my mouth get real dry. Man, so I'm not on the 12th tradition or anything like that. Like I said, I have 17 months clean, and I'm not on the 12th tradition or anything like that, man, but I've really been getting in touch with principles before personalities, man. I've really been getting in touch with principles before personalities, man. For those of y'all that know me, y'all know I was in this little relationship, man, with the mother of my youngest daughter, man. And it was a very toxic relationship. And what went on behind closed doors was very toxic. If you ask me, what went on in public was toxic. But, apparently some people thought that we had a good relationship, whatever, man. And she chose to go back out and test the waters and do what we do, man. And she's in my prayers, and I hope that she makes it back. But the thing about it is, man, it was times, man, when we would be sitting at home and we would be arguing and we would be fighting and we would be fussing. And my perception was like, why are you doing this to me? And why are you acting like this? And man, don't you want to use your sponsor? Don't you want to work some steps? Don't you want to try to apply some principles in your life? But the thing about it is, one thing that I realized that I was gaining from that was the ability to practice some principles in my life, man. I was, I really had to strive, man, because like I was put in a situation where like I had to practice honesty, man, with somebody that was always constantly lying to me. I had to practice acceptance with somebody that didn't give a fuck. I had to practice surrender to somebody that was always trying to fight. I had to practice humility with somebody that was always trying to humiliate me, man. And I don't know about anybody else. I don't know if anybody's ever been in that situation, but that is not an easy thing to do. Not for me, not for this addict. It's not easy to practice humility with somebody that's trying to humiliate you, man. It's not easy to practice vigilance with somebody that don't want to look at their motherfucking self. Not for me. And I know it's not about her. But that at that point in time, I was just in that place, man. Like, I did A, B, and C. So when are you going to tell me about the A, B, and C that you did? Let's make this a mutual thing, man. And she just wasn't willing. She just wasn't willing. And it's okay, man, because like if it's one thing that I learned from that situation, like I have to understand and let people be them, man. I have to understand, man, and I cannot force you or try to manipulate you or try to trick you into doing the right things for the right reasons, even if it's to benefit you. Man, I had a conversation with my sponsor one day, man, before he was my sponsor. And I was talking about this woman, because we had still continued to live together, even after we broke up. And I was having a conversation with him, man. And one thing I had to realize, and one thing that I got in touch with, was I'm not going to say I was applying too much of the first step. I just wasn't applying the steps behind it, man. I was applying the first step to this situation and dealing with this woman, man. And I wasn't applying like hope. I wasn't applying faith. I wasn't applying, what the literature talks about, how like when we try to take control of situations, we recommit ourselves to this third step, man. I wasn't applying that shit, man. I forgot about how the literature talks about, man, that step one left a vacuum in our lives, man. And And that's just what happened, man. I just ended up feeling real empty. I ended up feeling real lonely. I ended up feeling despair, hurt, fear, anger, resentment. You know, that triangle of self-obsession that we talk about. I ended up feeling all of that, man, clean, man. And I just didn't know what was wrong, man. And I had this conversation with my sponsor, and he just pointed out some things to me, man. And I got some peace and some clarity on that situation, man. Like the theme, man, is the joys of living clean, man. And, first and foremost, the joys of living clean that I've discovered is the ability to make a connection with God, man. The ability to make a connection, a conscious contact with God, man, because I don't know about anybody else, but I lack the ability to make a conscious contact with God when I'm using. I lack the ability to make a conscious contact with anybody when I'm using. I don't know about anybody else, but I can't pull it off. My entire life, my entire everything, my focus, my thoughts, my everything involves or regards getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. And in this time that I've been here, man, I've been able to practice a conscious contact with God, man. A conscious contact with God. And that's real important to me, man, because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm a fuck up. I'm a fuck up by nature. I fuck up all the time. I can blink and fuck up. I don't have to put no effort into it. I don't have to force it. I don't have to try. It's just natural. It's just natural, man. And I don't know about anybody else, but like somebody like me, I need a conscious contact with God. I need a power that's greater than myself to help me with these impossible instances and situations and predicaments that I put myself into all the time. I need that. Because I know left to my own devices, man, I would self-destruct. And probably very, very quickly, man. And I'm getting to this point, man, where I'm starting to see like the beauty of my life, man. I'm starting to see the beauty of what God has done for me. Look, not to put myself up there, man, but I realize this, man, to be 23 years old and have 17 months clean and be willing and have that desire to change, because I'm real clear, man. Everybody ain't here to change. I'm real clear on that. I know that there are some people that are in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous right now that have the same perception that I had when I was 20 years old. I just don't want to get loaded no more. All that other shit, so I'm all for it, but I just don't want to get loaded no more. But I'm real heavy into the literature, man, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the 7th step in the basic text where it talks about shortcomings and character defects cause us pain and misery in all our lives, man. All our lives. And I don't know about anybody else, but I did not get clean to inflict pain on myself. I did not get clean to be miserable. I just didn't do it. And you guys told me, man, that by getting in the process of recovery, man, and practicing these principles in all my affairs to the best of my ability, man, that I didn't have to hurt. I didn't have to hurt. I didn't have to hurt. And I don't want to hurt no more, you guys, man. I've been hurting all my life. I've been in pain all my life. I've always compared my insides to your outsides. I've always thought that you were better than me. My whole perception on life was a better than, less than concept. There was never any equal to. Either I was better than you, or you was better than me, or I was less than you, or you were less than me. That's it. That's all. And I'm grateful, man, that I found a fellowship, man, where I can be my own person, man, and I can stand. Look, check this out. I can stand in my own brand of dignity, or I can stand in my own brand of indignity if that's what I choose to do, man. And I can still come around, and people will still love me, and people will still accept me, and people will still tell me to keep coming back, and they won't kick me the fuck out, and they won't be like, well, where's the rest of the sack? And I'll be like, I ain't got no more sack, and they be like, well, you got to go the fuck home, and I'll be like, well, I don't got nowhere to go, and they be like, well, I don't give a fuck, you got to get up out of here. I don't have to go through that shit no more, man. I don't have to go through it no more. Like this situation that I'm in, like right now, right now, I have very, very little contact with my youngest daughter, and anybody that knows me knows that little girl is very, very close to me, man. Her mom, I'm not even going to put her out there like that. I'm going to just tell you that I have very, very little contact with my youngest daughter, man. And that hurts me and that pains me. But at the same time, man, if it's one thing that somebody told me one day that stuck with me, that's like stuck to my ribs, man. It really, really stuck to my ribs. My God doesn't need mine nor your help to help me or you. So I give it to God, man. I give it to God, man, and I pray for her. And that's all I can do. You know, hopefully that relationship will be where it was at one point. As a matter of fact, hopefully it gets stronger. But until that day, man, I give it to God, man. So anyway, man, you know, I'm going through this situation right now, and I'm about to be evicted on Monday. Like they're about to shut it down, lock the doors, get your stuff, or it's gone on Monday. And it's only through the process of recovery, man. It's only through practicing the third step, and practicing that faith, man, and practicing that surrender, man, that I am able to have some peace with this situation. Because I don't know about anybody else, man, but financial difficulties is what got me here. I'm not one of the people, man, that, you know, was all like spiritually bankrupt, or at least realized they were spiritually bankrupt. And you know, like, I need to change. That was not how I got here. That was not how I got back. I got back because I was tired of being broke. I was tired of being homeless. I was tired of being jobless. I was tired of being penniless. That's how I got here. That's what gave me the initial desire to just stop using. And I have some peace in this situation, man. You know, like, it's only through God's grace and mercy, man, that somebody, another member of the fellowship, man, opened their doors, and man, they're allowing me to stay there, man, and I'm gonna be all right, man. And the thing about it is, before this person opened their doors and allowed me to stay there, I still had some peace with the situation. I still knew that as long as I put myself in a position to do the footwork, that God wasn't gonna let me go, and He was gonna provide me with a way out, even when I can't see it, even when I can see no light at the end of the tunnel, man. I know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, whether I can see it or not. It's been too evident, man. It's been too evident in my life, man. It's just like when I was using, man. It's exactly like when I was using, man. When I was sleeping on that fucking cardboard box up north, and all I had on was some shorts and a t-shirt, man. And it was like 39, 40 degrees outside, and I curled up, and I could see no way out, man. I had no idea that I was about to be introduced to the program of Narcotics Anonymous, man. I had no idea. I had no clue. But God showed me a way out, man. And you know, it's only through his love, man, and his forgiveness, man, and his limitless, man, grace and mercy that I stand before you, man, at 23 years old, clean, haven't went out one time before. You know, I stayed out like for a year and a half, man. I used to think that was like, I used to think that was a big thing, man, but I've come to discover in my time around here, man, that some people stay out for years. Man, some people don't make. I'll put it to you like this, man. I am the only person that I grew up with that's an addict that's in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous right now. Everybody else is either still on the block, locked up, or dead. That's it, man. And I don't know what particular reason, man, God chose to put me in a position that He's put me in, to bless me with this fellowship and to bless me with this opportunity to change my life, man, and to find a new way of life. But to be honest with you, I don't really care. I really, really don't care why God blessed me with this, man. I'm just trying to accept it, man. I'm trying to accept it as humbly as possible, man. I'm trying to accept it as graciously as possible, man. And I'm trying to make the best of it, man. You know, I'm at a loss for words, man. I'm really, really at a loss for words. Like, I don't know. I guess it's a sense of feeling undeserving, man. I guess I feel like there was nothing that I did like to deserve for God to put me in this position that He's put me in my life, man. You know, I'm not yet that speaker, man, that has the chain and the car and the girl and the house. I don't have none of that shit yet, but that's all right, man. That's not even my focus at this point. That's really not even the focal point of my life right now. The focal point of my life right now is getting better spiritually. The focal point of my life right now is reaching out and helping another addict. The focal point of my life is putting that hand out when I see somebody on the corner sitting there fucking drowning in their own disease, possibly not even knowing that they're drowning in their own disease, and just putting that hand out, man. Do I expect them to take it? Not really. But at least if I put their hand out there, they have an opportunity to save themselves. If I'm on the fucking Titanic and I'm on a lifeboat, and I see somebody sitting in the water, am I just gonna pass them by, or am I at least gonna stick the hand out there to try to help them from killing themselves, man? Because I'm really, really tired of killing myself, man. I'm really, really tired of killing myself. I really, really don't want to piss on this gift, man. I really, really don't want to piss on this gift, man. So like I said, man, I'm really, really in the service. I'm really, really in the service work. I'm about to. I'm on the convention committee of my area. I have a GSR commitment, and I got real involved, man. I got real involved real early on. And let me say this, man. It's never too early to get a sponsor, man. It's never too early to start working steps, man. Never. It's never too early, man. I put it to you like this, man. The sponsor I came in with, man, is not the same sponsor I have now. But I got my sponsor at 2 days clean, man. I'm talking about 2 days clean. I'm talking about my first day clean, man. I cuddled up and I laid down because I was wore out. My next day clean, man, I attended the Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and he just so happened to be the speaker at that meeting. And I told this man, like, will you sponsor me, man? Because he has something that I wanted. He has something that I didn't have. He has something that I had desired to attain in my life, man. And I know me. Like I just got done telling y'all, man, I'm a fuck up by nature. I knew that there was no time for me to waste. I knew that I immediately had to get into this thing. I knew that I immediately had to get connected. It's not that I knew it from my head. I just knew it from my heart. It was just something that was in my spirit, man. And I just knew, man, that if I didn't make a move real fast, man, that I was going to go back to doing what the fuck we do, man. Cause I'm going to say this, man. I got here, on a surface level through DCFS, but DCFS is not what kept me here at all. Because I don't know about anybody else, but when I'm getting loaded, I'm gonna figure out a way. Some people go as far to say like they don't care, but that's not my story. I'm gonna figure out a way, because in my head, I'm gonna think like I have all this care and concern for this little girl. And DCFS told me that if I don't get clean, I can't be a part of her life. But my head will tell me I'm gonna figure out a way. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna manipulate this. I'm gonna hit this corner. I'm gonna tell her what's up. She gonna look out for me. She gonna allow me to see my daughter. And my daughter was not what gave me the desire to stay clean. Because I can remember at that TDM meeting when they were talking about removing her from the home, I was already thinking, that's how I can share that with you. I was already thinking about how I could be able to use and manipulate my baby mama into making it somehow possible for me to be able to see my daughter and get loaded. But at the same time, man, those old feelings kicked up, those old feelings of happiness and joy that had kicked up, man, when I had about 90 days clean like that. Like I started to feel that, man, and it started to turn in my spirit. And this lady had a conversation with me, man, and she ended up being my outpatient counselor, man. And I don't know what it was about that conversation. I can't even remember. I can't even tell you what it consisted of. But I know whatever it was that lady told me, something had hit my spirit real hard, that this might be God giving you opportunity, man, to get back, man. Because I don't know about anybody else, and I don't know if there are any other relapsers in this room right now. But when I went back out, man, it never even crossed my mind. Maybe you should hit a meeting. Never, not one time. And I'm talking about like in that 90 days, man, I had achieved more peace and serenity than I had ever remember having in my entire life. And it never ever, not once, crossed my mind. Maybe you should hit a meeting. Just one. I really want to thank God for sponsorship, man. I really want to thank God for sponsorship, man, because like I need a guide. I need a guide to guide me through my life, man. And I don't know about anybody else. Man, but God doesn't talk to me directly. God has never talked to me directly. I hear people say they hear the voice of God. That's not my story. I've never heard God say anything. As a matter of fact, that little faint voice about doing the right thing that y'all talk about, I can't even recall hearing that shit. The way my God talks to me is through other people. And I'm not saying that one day, that small faint voice won't creep up, but that's just not the case today, man. And something in my spirit might tell me that something is wrong or right, but usually the wrong feels good. And I want to feel good right now, all the time. I don't want to wait. I don't. And I'm in acceptance with that, man. That's just where I'm at right now in my life. But at the same time, man, like every now and then, man, when the pain has become great enough, man, when I'm backed up against a wall, man, when I find no way out, man, I might just take that small hint of direction. I might just do that first part of the direction, man. Maybe I might just do that first part of the direction, and when that starts to work out, I might take that next one, and that starts to work out, I might take that next one. Because man, I'm sorry, but I'm just not the type of person that you can sit up and you can tell me any old thing and I'm just gonna believe it. I need evidence. I ain't gonna lie, man. If God's voice did just come down and tell me do A, B, and C, I would take it, because me being clean, man, using the way I use is evidence that I can trust and believe and have faith in God. Just that alone, let alone what he's done for my life, man, let alone the peace that I've got in my life, let alone the comfort that I feel, man, when I'm all by myself, man. I don't know about anybody else, but like for my first 6 months clean, man, I had the inability to sit by myself for any period of time. I'm talking about 2 minutes. If I tried to sit by myself for 2 minutes, I was up, I was looking for somebody to kick it with, I was walking around, I was thinking, I was plotting, I was planning. I couldn't do it. I can sit by myself today. I can be by myself today. I can lay down, man, and be peaceful in my own fucking skin today. I can't do it as long as my grand sponsor, man, because he'll fuck around and sit by himself for like 2 hours, and I'll be like, how the fuck does he do that? But I can do it, man. And slowly but surely, man, I'm getting better, man. They gave me the 5-minute sign, man, and 3. Damn. I want to welcome any of our out-of-town guests that are sitting in the audience. That was something I planned on doing, but I forgot, because that's what happens when I plan shit. So I want to welcome any of our out-of-town guests. I want to welcome anybody that's newer than myself. I want to welcome anybody, man, that might be in a crisis or a situation or an occurrence in their life, man, that they feel like they have no way out, that they feel like using is the answer. I want to welcome you, man, and I want to let you know, man, that I love you, man, and I know that a lot of people say, if nobody tells you that they love you today, that they love you, but I can prove it, man, because like I was told, man, that love is an action word. And I show by my actions that I love people today, man. Even if I know, whether I know you or not, if you are a recovering addict in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, man, I love you, man. I'm willing to put my hand out there, man. I'm willing to reach out, man. I'm willing to chop it up on the phone with you. I don't care how crazy your ass is. I don't care how much I think you ain't talking about shit. I'm willing to just listen, man. I'm willing to just be an ear. I'm willing to shut the fuck up today. And I don't know about anybody else, but that's like huge for me. Like I'm willing to just sit back and let somebody talk and not have to be the facilitator of the conversation, and just let somebody else speak, man, and just let them get their point across. I'm willing to not argue all the time today. Sometimes I do, but I'm willing to not argue all the time. I'm willing to have like my own opinion, man, and just keep it to myself sometimes, man. These are all things that I never had the ability to do. My mom was supposed to come, man, but she didn't make it. I wish she was sitting in the audience right now, because she would tell you I used to argue everything, man, everything. No matter what it was, I always thought I was right. You was always wrong. Or if you was kind of right, I would like twist it up and put my own spin on it to make me right. And like these are the type of things when I think of the joys of living clean, man. These are all the types of things that I think of when I think of the joys of living clean, man. I want to thank you guys for being here, man. I'm gonna close with this, man. My biggest desire, not just for everybody in this room, but for everybody around the world, is to obtain a God of their own understanding and obtain the desire and the will to align their will and their life with the God of their understanding. Because if it's one thing that I know, man, there's no life like a life centered around God. Thank you for letting me share.
Let's thank our speaker again. Let's now give another big Skid Row welcome for our next speaker, all the way from LA, Jabril.
name's Jabril. I'm an addict. I want to thank God for my life. I want to thank God for Narcotics Anonymous for showing me how to live it one day at a time. I want to thank the entire committee for this marathon and extend my gratitude for asking me to come and share. I also want to thank Damarian for sharing as well. You know, I never realized how much my life was damaged and how devastated my life was behind my using. I never realized how much devastation I caused to other people behind my self-centeredness and behind my quest always to get more. You know, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about how, you know, this is the only disease that affects other people around you the way that it affects other people around you. I've had family members who have been sick with cancer. I've had family members who have been sick with diabetes and heart trouble, and we felt the pain, and we felt emotional behind their sickness, and we felt in a large way it was a lot of emotional pain that we dealt with when these people were sick. But this disease affected my family in not only an emotional way, but a physical way and a spiritual way as well. And I couldn't think of any other disease that would do that other than the disease of addiction. You know, I smoked crack for about 7 years. But I was an addict long before I picked up any drug. And even though I was an addict, it was crack that was responsible for putting me in some of the worst predicaments I had ever been in. But you know, I suffered from the disease, you know, and it manifested itself in ways like feeling worthless. It manifested itself in ways like low self-esteem. It manifested itself in ways like the lack of self-acceptance. I was always seeking approval from something outside of myself, and Damarian talked about that a little bit. I've always felt less than. I had a huge ego, but I always suffered from low self-esteem. I was real good at wearing a mask. I was real good at hiding who I really was. And I was always afraid that I would never be accepted for who I am. I became a habitual liar. I lied about everything. I lied when I didn't even have a reason to lie. I made up shit so that I could equalize the playing field real early. Because the way I saw life is like I was always on the outside looking in. Somehow or another, y'all was having a lot more fun with this shit called life than I was. Somehow or another, it's like I was missing the enjoyment that everybody else seemed to have. I couldn't understand why I was missing it. And so I became a good liar. I became a good pretender. I became a good actor. And my life was miserable. My life was miserable all the fucking time. I had, small moments where things would come in and that would make me feel good. But for the most part, I was always mad. And I hated myself. I'm talking about I hated myself. And I used, and what I thought would be the answer turned out to be another symptom of my problem. In my using experience, I always say this. Look, I started smoking crack in 2000, and I was smoking with people who had been smoking since the 80s. So I was way behind in the game. I didn't understand all the tricks to the game. I was giving motherfuckers my push. I didn't understand none of that kind of shit. I was handing out dope in the dope spot because I thought that's what everybody was supposed to do. That's how it was at first. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know that there was a culture behind the shit. I didn't know smoking was an art. I didn't know that people had to walk me through how not to burn up the dope and how to hold the shit and do all this shit. And so over the course of time, it was like, well, damn, I had to figure all of this out. And I was swaying back and forth between this life of going home with my ex-wife and my kids, and then going on these long ass runs for 2 and 3 days and 4 days and being gone. At first it was like a 24-hour disappearance. It was only like, well, he's been gone 24 hours. And then I would come home. And then it got to be, well, damn, he's been gone 2 days. And I'm talking about missing persons reports being made. Police being called looking for me. This says, while using, we lived in another world. We experienced only periodic jolts of reality or self-awareness. It seemed that we were at least 2 people instead of 1. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We ran around and tried to get our lives together before our next run. Sometimes we could do this very well, but later it was less important and more impossible. In the end, Dr. Jekyll died and Mr. Hyde took over. For a while, it was like I could pull it together. For a while, it was like I could stay and then I could go, and then I could stay and then I could go. But after a while, it was like the using became more important and the stopping became less important. It was a point where I had lost the ability to stop. Even when the money was gone. Even when I had been gone 3 and 4 days and 5 days. Even when I knew people were looking for me. It was like I lost the ability to stop. And I couldn't stop even when I wanted to stop. I couldn't stop using even when I wanted to stop. I wanted to put this shit down, and I couldn't do it. And my life, quickly became about the getting, the using, and finding ways and means to get more, and then nothing else mattered. It was fuck my kids. It was fuck my mama. It was fuck everything around me. The only thing that mattered was me getting more. I tried to fool myself I tried to make myself believe that I love my kids. I tried to make myself believe that I love my mother, but there was nothing that would get in my way of the drug. And I became completely self-centered. The literature says, it would be impossible to describe addiction in terms that's agreeable to everybody. But it affects us in the general ways, which is, obsession, compulsion, self-centeredness, and denial. And it was denial that kept me from seeing what the fuck I had become. It was denial that protected me from looking at myself and saying, look at what you've done. I could always use denial as a way to justify that I should be like this. As long as I had denial by me and next to me, I was cool. Never mind, I'm walking up and down the streets, back and forth at all hours of the night. Never mind, I've gotten comfortable with not bathing. I've gotten comfortable with not eating. I've gotten real comfortable sleeping on pissy ass mattresses. I've got real comfortable sleeping in abandoned houses. And the whole time I'm doing this, I never asked myself, could it be the drugs? I'm walking up and down the street, I was one of them addicts that would walk all fucking night. I would get a room, go inside the room, take a hit in the room, close the door, and start walking. The room would be sitting there empty. And it got to the point to where I would be walking and walking and walking and walking, and my feet would be so goddamn tender that if I took one more step, I felt like they was going to split in half. And it never dawned on me, could it be the drugs? I lost the power to stop. And it got to the point to where I would cry, and I would always ask that question like, why me? My father was a dope fiend. My grandfather was a dope fiend. My mother had 4 brothers. One died of an overdose. The other one died of hepatitis. And the other one died as a direct result of being involved with this disease. I had every indication of what my life was going to be like if I chose to go that route. I started smoking crack in 2000. By then, everything was all fucked up because of crack. Seriously. No, seriously. If you start smoking, I started smoking crack in 2000. By then, motherfuckers was already knowing that this wasn't the way to go. That this wasn't the drug to be playing with. I had already seen, mothers who were good mothers to their kids become prostitutes. I I had already seen fathers who had good jobs and was providers for their kids become petty thieves. I had already seen what this shit could do. It just wouldn't happen to me. And I was sitting in my car smoking with this woman who I had go get some dope, and she looked over at me, and I was fumbling and fidgeting shit with the pipe, and she said, you don't know about this shit, do you? And I looked over to her, I said, I know about this. She said, no, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I can remember her word vividly. She said, you playing with fire. And I didn't know what the fuck was in store for me. No, I didn't know at that moment that life was going to take on a whole nother turn. I didn't know that I was going to start stealing from my mama. I didn't know that I was going to abandon my kids. I didn't know that I was going to end up going to the penitentiary behind stealing shit like body wash. Behind stealing shit like soap powder. Shit like that. I have a disease. And when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, it was a relief to find that out. Because before, I thought I was just fucked up. I thought I was just like, something was wrong with me. I thought I was just like morally fucked up. You know, because I had always done shit that was out of character. You know, I thought that I had this problem. You know, I just thought that, you know, that there was really something fucked up with me. And it didn't have nothing to do with a disease. It was just that I was a fucked up person. So it was a relief to come in here and y'all to tell me some shit like, hey man, you know what? You got a disease. And that's okay, Jabril, because you know what? I got that disease too. That was the relief. It was like, well, it's all right. Not only do you have it, but I have it too. And here's something else. We found a way out. We found a way out. And it's a whole bunch of us that's been able to recover from this shit called the disease of addiction. And it was a relief to find out that, you know, it wasn't my reaction to the drug that made me an addict. It wasn't my behavior that made me an addict. It was the disease. It was the disease. And like I said, you know, I'm obsessive compulsive. It don't matter what it is. I always want more. I'm self-centered. I'm constantly trying to figure out ways to align God's will with mine. I'm constantly figuring out ways to align my wife or my kids or my ex-wife. I'm constantly trying to figure out ways to align everybody up the way that I want them to be in my life. And I'm always in denial. You know what I hate? I hate when a motherfucker bring up some wrong shit that I did. You know, I hate when you point out that I'm wrong. I hate that shit. You know, and when you point it out to me, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start defending myself. You know, you already done told me I'm wrong, And really in the back of my mind, I know you're right. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start thinking of ways to prove how I wasn't wrong. You know, like denial is that mechanism that stands in between me and accepting what the fuck I really done. You know, thank God for Narcotics Anonymous. Thank God for humility. You know, thank God for that. You know, what we knew about living before we came to NA almost killed us. Managing our own lives got us to the Narcotics Anonymous program. We came to NA knowing very little about how to be happy and enjoy life. I couldn't really enjoy life. You know, like the literature says, I could never live and enjoy life like other people could. I had to have something different, and I thought I had found it in drugs. I could never seem to grasp myself around the concept that, you know, I could make me happy. You know, it was always, you can make me happy, this can make me happy, it can make me happy, but it was never a concept like, well, I can make me happy. And when somebody else didn't do what I wanted them to do to make me happy, then I was resentful. Then I was angry. Then I was mad. Then I was disappointed. Then I was talking shit about them. And then I felt bad about myself. How could I let them do me like this? An idea cannot be grafted onto a closed mind. Being open-minded allows us to hear something that might save our lives. You know what dawned on me when I came here? This is a life-saving program. You know, I get nervous when I go to speak a lot of times because, like I know how important it is. I know how important it is. I know how important it is to hear something that might save a life. It allows us to listen to opposing points of view and come to conclusions of our own. Open-mindedness leads us to the very insights that have eluded us during our lives. It is this principle that allows us to participate in a discussion without jumping to conclusions or predetermining right or wrong. You know, like knowing what you're going to say before you say it. You know, I've heard that before. I know what you're talking about. I know. Predetermining right or wrong. See, I thought open-mindedness was just like the ability to listen. That's what I thought open-mindedness was. But what I found out open-mindedness is the ability to internalize what you're listening to. That's what open-mindedness is. We no longer need to make fools of ourselves by standing up for non-existent virtues. We have learned that it is okay to not know all the answers, but then we are teachable and can learn to live our new lives successfully. What a relief it was to know that I didn't have to know everything. And that I could admit that I don't know everything. I never wanted nobody to know that I didn't have the answers. I was supposed to have the answers for everything. You know, not having the answer went back to making me feel less than. Not having the answers made me feel like, you know, that if you had the answer, then you was better than me. So it was a relief to find out, to say, hey, you know, I was in a book study one time, and my grant sponsor asked me a question, and I went off on this long exploratory shit about what the answer was to this question, and he looked over at me and said, "Shut the fuck up, motherfucker, and just say you don't know." He said, "Shut the fuck up, motherfucker, and just say you don't know." I don't want to hear all that bullshit you talking about. You don't know. That's the bottom line. Just say you don't know. And so I started taking that to other areas of my life. That, like, I don't know. And it became an easy answer. And what I found out is that by admitting I don't know some shit, I started to learn more. See, by admitting that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, you know, the answers started to come, and I was starting to listen, and then I was starting to apply, and then it started making sense. Say I don't know more. Even when you think you know, say I don't know. Before I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I was irresponsible. I was 35 years old. I was living with my mama. I didn't know I was homeless. I had no idea I was homeless. I thought as long as my mama had my bedroom in there, then that's where I lived. I was completely afraid of life. I was completely terrified about the possibilities of what would happen to me. I was always thinking something bad is going to happen. I always had a sense of impending doom. You know, I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. It's just that I knew that something bad was going to happen. And I would always live my life based on that fear. You know, I made decisions based on that fear. I always thought I was going to die. The beauty of this program is that I get to live in the now. I was talking about it the other night. It's like, you know, anybody watch football? I was talking about it the other night, and it was like, I'm just the receiver. See, I'm just the receiver. I play my position, and my position is to be the receiver. I let God do the quarterbacking. You know, when you in the huddle, the receiver don't call the play. The quarterback call the play. It's the receiver's job to run the route correctly so that he could get the ball and be right there when the quarterback throw the ball. So when I pray now for the knowledge of God's will for me and the power to carry it out, what I'm praying for is that God give me the correct route. And give me the power to run the correct route. And I just want to be right there to catch that ball every single time. See, and when I run the wrong route, I don't get the ball. When I go the opposite way, the ball never comes my way, and I'm always asking God, where's this blessing that I'm asking you for, but I keep running the wrong route. It's only when I get in the huddle, understand my job, understand what I'm supposed to do, what route I'm supposed to run, and run it correctly, that the ball is right there as soon as I turn around. It ain't my job to tell the quarterback where the fuck to throw me the ball. It ain't my job to tell the quarterback how to throw me the ball, where the ball is supposed to come from. It ain't my job to tell God how to bless me. It's my job to listen. My life, man, look, it ain't great, but it's all good. You know, and I'm going to talk about some of the good things in my life, and I'm going to talk about some of the changes in my life, because the program is not all about how fucked up I am. The program is not all about how insecure I am. The program is not all about how worthless I feel at times. The literature says that we multiply our joys and divide our burdens when we share them in a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous. So by sharing my joys with you, you multiply them with me. I got my own business. My business is going good. I've been paying rent consistently on time for 2 years. Now you tell me the program don't work. Now you tell me the program don't work. I pay my light bill when it's due. I pay my phone bill when it's due. I pay my gas bill when it's due. And I pay all the bills. You tell me the program don't work. I've been with the same woman for 2 years. I ain't never cheated on her. You tell me this program don't work. My children, you know, man, they had picked a new daddy. Yeah. They found a replacement. That's the truth. I wasn't there. I spent my time smoking. I didn't give a fuck about them anyway. They found a replacement. And so, and he was working out pretty cool. So when I came back, they was like, well, you know, the fuck you here for? You know, where you come from? And that was painful. So I was talking to my sponsor about that, man, and you know, he said, just like anything else, Jabril, he said, you know, we need to take steps, man. You know, you just like, you take one step and then you take another step and then you take another step, you know, and you don't try to be forceful. You know, I wanted to come back in and take my belt off and shit, and, you know, I'm daddy and all this old kind of shit. But I couldn't do that, and then I had to go gently. Gently. But the one thing y'all taught me was like to suit up, to show up, to have courage, to be persistent, to persevere. That it'll get better. and I'm back in their lives. And I enrich their lives in more than just money. I'm active in their life. That feeling of like worthlessness that I was telling you about, every time I come into a meeting of Narcotics Anonymous and y'all look at me and say, "Hey, Jabril," and I get a hug from you, that feeling of worthlessness is replaced. You know, I found value right here in Narcotics Anonymous. I found some self-worth right here in Narcotics Anonymous. I found some dignity right here in Narcotics Anonymous. You know, and I ain't perfect. And I don't want to be perfect. I just want to get better. I don't practice principles in all my affairs. I don't. You know. I don't. But I said it the other night, you know, practicing principles is just like, you know, if I took the basketball and I went to the free throw line right now and I kept taking shots at the free throw, if I did it right now, I probably could make only 1 out of 10. But if I went back the next day and I kept practicing, maybe I'll make 2 out of 10. And then I went back the next day and I kept practicing, maybe I'll make 3 out of 10. And then 4 out of 10. I got to practice it to get better. And that's what practicing principles is for me. It's like I got to keep practicing the shit, and the more I practice it, the better I get at it. God got me exactly where he want me to be. You know? I just have to live right now. I just have to live right now. Just for the day. You know, I start thinking about what's going to happen to me tomorrow, and I just try to reel myself in to today. I got a disease that I know I'm going to die with, but I ain't got to die from it. I love y'all. Thank you for letting me share.